Alright, in our last video, I was having trouble figuring out what to do next, and I've thought about it for a while, and I want to go ahead and get my wiper motor mounted and wired in, and that way I can check and see if it works. If you've ever tried to test a wiper motor, they're wired up kind of weird. They have to ground to stop and turn on and whatnot. So got all my pieces out here, saved all the little special screws, got the switch and the mounting plate, the windshield wiper transmission, and got a wiring diagram out, and it appears that we have a auto dismantler's replacement wiper motor, and for the 77 it should have a remote pump, but it appears that it's got a 74 on it, and it wires up pretty much the same. If I ever decide to change it, I mean, all I got to do is extend these two wires to a reservoir and have the remote pump and whatnot. But for the time being, I want to get this cleaned up and mounted on there, and we'll worry about all that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up, get some paint on these. I'll probably paint the motor part and just clean up all the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Okay, we got some electrical parts cleaner. Let's see if we can kind of scrub this down. See if it looks a little bit better. It's been sitting up in storage for a while. There's some junk on here. It doesn't want to come off. It appears that the inners are okay. We'll have to do continuity test on it. Yeah, junk all up in there, so just want to get it cleaned up and get it looking halfway decent. Sometimes the original stuff just works better than the newer junk they make nowadays. So that's why I always try to save the original stuff if possible. So, yeah, it looks a lot better actually. Cleaned up pretty good. So, let's see if we can do a little cleaning on this motor. It's actually got some grease on it from the engine bay. Well, I think if we try hard enough, we can get it looking halfway decent. Okay, got it cleaned up fairly decent. Of course, we're not going to make it look brand new, but I did notice that my grounding strap is broke. And this one I ordered a couple of years ago, and it's made in China, of course, and it was no good out of the box, but I saved it because you can always get little parts and stuff off of it. And so I'm going to use this grounding strap. So we're going to take this one off and switch them around. Okay, I got my little grounding strap on there, and I took apart the little pump because these nipples are broke off on it. So if it works, I'll order a new little rebuild kit with the little check valves and stuff in it. So I think now I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up and painted. And like I said, I'm going to hold off on painting this until I see if it actually works. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, painted, and mount this up and do a little wiring. Okay, got my mounting plate all cleaned up and painted, and it had this like foam seal on it, and it was pretty dilapidated. So I used some foamy stuff that I had gotten for the AC stuff and tried to replicate it, but it's better than nothing, I guess. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get this mounted up. Alrighty then. Okay, I got the pump mounted up, and it's kind of a pain in the butt with this hood hinge in the way, but at least it's a lot easier than doing it with the hood on. So now we're gonna see if we can get it wired up. Now I can understand, you know, too much is better than not enough, but yeah, we got a whole lot of extra wire here. So I'm gonna get these measured out for how long they need to be, and I've got Y, N, and M all ready to go, and the little terminal ends. So I'm gonna get these cut to length and soldered up, and then we can see if this motor's gonna work. Okay, I got the diagram over here, and all my wires are soldered up and heat shrinked. I've got connector Y, and it appears that it sets this way with the blue in the open slotted one. So see if we can get this in here. It clicks. And this one did not click. Now it clicked. Okay, so that is going to plug in here to the washer pump. So now we just have to figure out the wiper motor itself. And we have N, which is this one, and we need the white and the black, and this will be turned away. So I'm gonna put our black in this slot, and white in this slot, and we have M, which is going to be high speed, and see if we can get this one to click in there. Okay, now I'm going to get this all plugged in and see if anything at all works. Okay, got our wires all plugged in and our switch plugged in. Turn the ignition on and switch it on, and we got nothing. Okay, guess I'm gonna have to do a little troubleshooting. Okay, so we got no power to our switch, and down here, I don't know if y'all can see very good, but we got power to one side of the fuse, but not the other. So we got a blown fuse. Gotta figure out why it blew. Could be that one of the wires touched ground. So I'm gonna stick another fuse in there and see if it blows too. Okay, replace the fuse, and seems to be working. Got low, got high, and off. Okay, not really sure how the fuse got blown, probably when these wires weren't connected. When I was soldering them together, of course I had the ground disconnected, but they probably touched somewhere, blew the fuse. So that's all it was. Got that working, and I guess later on, once we get everything figured out, we'll get these all loomed up with the engine wiring harness and make them look nice and neat. So now we can go ahead and start doing other things. Okay, now that I got my Viper motor wired up, I've got to take care of a little project. On the Camaro, we don't have any armrests or door handles, so we ordered these because I kind of like this style. It's a handle and an armrest together. There is a little bit of a problem with it. There's nowhere to mount it, so I'll show you what I'm gonna do with it. Okay, so when you put this door handle up here, there isn't really any place where mounting holes are. So I've been thinking about a solution for it, and I finally came up with something, and I'll show you what I got going on. Okay, I found this nice thick piece of 16 gauge, and what I've done here is notch it out and bent these at an angle, because if you look at these, they kind of come in at an angle because they're coming in from the bottom, and it should sit like so. And if I got my angle right, I can drill down through there. And I got these really big fat screws. These are the kind of screws that, you know, would come from the factory when they put these in the doors, if this was an application for the actual vehicle. So once I get this piece made, now I don't want these tabs bending, so when I get everything drilled and where I want it, I'm going to come in here with a piece of sheet metal, make it bigger, and put some tacks here and tacks there, and then cut it off. And these indentations happen to land where the hills and valleys in the door are. So I've got this one cut out. I marked out another one. It will be like a mirrored image of it. So I want to try to do one successfully, and once I get it welded up and strong and everything, I can put rivets, like big 3/16 rivets, in several different places that will hold it on. Now, if I ever have to take it off, it'll only take a minute with a drill and just drill out the rivets, and of course just re-rivet it back on. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get my holes drilled. And I noticed that these little round spots here are raised, so to get it to set flush, I'm going to have to notch these out right here on both of these. Once I do that, it should set down flush. So we're going to see how this is going to work. Okay, I got these notched out, kind of rounded here, so that it fits down in there flush, and sure enough, sits down flush against it. So now I'm going to try to mark the holes with a drill bit, just touch it a little bit, and I want to try to get one of them started to hold it down good, then I can drill the other two. So I'm going to see if this is going to work. need to even be a little bit bigger. Well, I'm going to get a screwdriver and see if it'll thread in. Alright, guess that's about the right size drill bit. Let's see if we can get it to line up. Find the hole here. Coming through under here. Reason or another, that's the wrong angle. Can't seem to get it to catch. Oh. That's going to need the longer screws. That's why I got two different sizes. I think that shorter screw will work over here. I didn't realize how thick that was. Okay, try this again. That's going to hold it down quite nicely. So, try to mark my other holes and see if we can get them drilled out. Well, that's at an angle, so let's see if we can get the marker down in there. Yeah, I think that'll work. Alright, so take this back off, see if we can drill out another one. This one sort of like a tap. This one right crooked. Now, got a thread started. Get one of these longer screws. And this one. Here. Looks like our holes lined up over here. got it screwed down really good, and that's what it's going to look like from the back side. Hopefully these won't hit. So I guess we could always get shorter screws or just make a hole in the door so it clears. So I'm going to go fit it on the door and see it's going to line up in the right spots. Okay, I had to drill a hole for this screw to go through, and if I put that up in there, bring it up parallel to the door latch and measure down, I have 8.5 inches there and 8.5 inches there. So if I mark my hole on the other side in that same position, all I have to do is check the back for 8.5 inches. So I think we're going to be good. I'm going to go ahead and get my other one started, notch it out, and then we'll see if we can rivet them on. Okay, I got my other piece cut out and I just notched it a little bit farther so to clear these little round things, and sits on there pretty flush. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark my holes and put my screws in, and then we'll see if we can get this riveted to the door. Okay, one other thing I need to do before I rivet them onto the car is I want to weld these little tabs on here, because I don't want these bending inward every time you pull on the door handle. So I'm going to box them in, tack weld them, cut them to that angle, and then do a few more tacks up here. So I'm going to get this done. Okay, I think that's going to work really well. I'm going to get the rest of these all tacked on here, ground down and smoothed up. Okay, I got my little tabs all boxed in and welded up, cleaned up. And you're probably wondering why I'm having to do this. Well, on the Camaro, it has two different doors on it. One's an early F body, one's a late F body. The doors are different. So I'd have to put one door handle on one and one on the other. No, we're just going to modify it and make them both the same. So that's why we're doing this. And next weekend we're going to try to get the door card on. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little paint on these, because in this Mississippi humidity they'll rust up right away. So I'm going to spray them down and then see if we can get them mounted. Okay, got it over here on the door, and got this little C-clamp holding it on, and drilled a hole where this screw goes, measured down, got it same as the other side. So now I can put a couple rivets in it, take the handle off, and then really rivet it down good so it won't come loose. So I'm gonna get that done. It. Okay, get this riveted down really good, and I think we'll be pretty sturdy. Okay, I got both of my brackets riveted down real sturdy and tight, and got both sides done, and had to make a little bigger hole over here for this one, but everything else lined up really good. So now we can get back to working on the Trans Am. Okay, she was getting pretty dusty in here, so did a little cleaning. And now I'm going to try to get my instrument cluster up in here. And when I went to go put it in, I realized I got to have my speedo cable up in there first. So I got this cleaned up. It was pretty filthy, and spun it around, and it seems to be freed up. Got it plugged in there and spin it a little bit. Seems to be indicating 5 to 10 miles an hour. Of course, I can't spin it in constant speed, but well, we know it works. So I'm gonna get this detached from here. It's got to run up from the bottom because this grommet pushes in from the outside. So I'm gonna get that cable up in there, and then we can go ahead and put our instrument cluster in. Okay, I got my speedo cable routed up through here, and managed to get the grommet pushed up through the hole. But underneath, it's a completely different situation. It is running into everything. I've got this little strap coming off the transmission here, bolted up, and it wanted to lay right against the header, so I put this heat shield on. But it's all the way up in there. Got it routed into the transmission and screwed in, so it was successful. It just took a little doing. So now I can put my instrument cluster in. Okay, I got my light switch and my wiper switch in there first so I could reach through the big hole. And now I'm going to see if I can get this plugged in and quite possibly might be able to get it past the steering wheel. There we go. Now, see if we can get in here and work it past the steering wheel. I think we're going to have to lower the steering column. Okay, let's get that done. Alright, I think we can just lower it a little. Alright, that should give us plenty of room. And get this speedo cable in here. Untangle these wires. There it goes. Alright. Stuff all these wires back up in here. I have to pull the speedo cable back a little bit. I have to check and make sure I'm not pushing it up against something. Alright. I think we can get it screwed into place now. Well, I need my magnetic screw. Okay, I'll round up a few more screws and I think that'll work. Okay, I got it screwed down. A couple of these holes were really reamed out, so I had to get a couple of size 12 screws. Got that cut that just doesn't want to stop bleeding, so I got that fixed so I'm not bleeding all over everything. So I want to try to see if I can get these AC controls in here, and we can get these wires untangled. Maybe get it up in there. Let's see, this cable's got to go through first, then this wiring harness, which is just in the way of everything. Let's see if I can get it started down in there without pushing our vacuum hoses back out of the way. And see if we can get these out of the way, plug in our vacuum, and get our power source here. That plugged in, and let's see, where is the other end of our wire here? Should be coming out somewhere down in there. Let's see, when we get this routed. Oh, it's stuck. Okay, let's turn it up on the other wires. It needs to go back that way. And now I need to get this wiring harness untangled. Oh, it's, yeah, I just went right into all the other wires. Okay. There. Now let's think. Try to get it up in there. Well, the cable's hanging up. It needs to go up behind there. Okay. Now I think I get everything stuffed back up in here. Well, there. Alright. Now, before I screw this down, I want to make sure that I can get to the cable up in there. Okay, the camera battery went dead, but making really good progress on the dash here. Got all the instrument clusters in and heater controls. I've got the center vent and the cigarette lighter that goes here, but cigarette lighter is all rusted up. Of course, you'll need that if you want to charge a cell phone. So I'm gonna need to get a new one of those, and I'm having to use size 10 screws, and I ran out of them, so I'm gonna have to get some more of those. But I've got the bracket that holds the cigarette lighter all cleaned up. It was pretty rusty, and the center vents, of course, are ready to go in as soon as I can get some screws. I got this bracket all cleaned up, and the cigarette lighter, it's pretty rusty and all nasty up in there. So I went on AutoZone website and they got one at the warehouse. So let's see if I can look that up. Yep, sure enough, it's sitting at the warehouse. So tomorrow I'm gonna have them send that over so we can get this bracket, that in, and all of our dash will be complete. Okay, it's the next weekend, and I've got my little power outlet, and it should work. It's brand new. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this screwed in. Also got some larger screws. The holes for the little vent duct here are huge, so I'm gonna have to use some larger screws. This dash is kind of wore out. Watched Smokey and the Bandit last weekend, and it was kind of weird with the movie scenes, seeing the dash and the inside of the car like it was when it was brand new. It was kind of odd seeing it a brand new car in '77, but yeah, it was kind of cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these screwed in, and we'll just about be done with all our dash stuff. Now that we got these last pieces in over here, I got this little filler piece that needs to go in there, and it's supposed to go in with these little plastic things, but one's missing. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to just pop rivet it in there. If I can get these rivets to stay in the rivet gun, and see if we can get it up here and get it through both layers. Come on. Well, we'll get this one riveted, and I'm gonna have to lift it up a little bit to line up the other one. There we go. looks good. It'd be easy to drill out if we ever have to take that out, but yeah, the dash is looking really good. Got everything in there, and I've got the bezel, and needs cleaned up, but I thought I'd see how hard it's gonna be to get this up in here. Yeah, well, that's what it's gonna look like. Of course, we ain't got it all the way up in there, but yeah, it's starting to look like a 77 Trans Am. I'm gonna take that out and clean it up. It's kind of faded and stuff, but yeah, we've got a dash now. That's awesome. So I think this is about where I'm gonna end this video. We've got to do some work on the Camaro, but we did get a piece of glass for this. I got to go ahead and finish painting the dash area here before we put that in. And I've got somewhere around here, oh, it's at the house, I've got the full upholstery set, and I'm gonna try to save that headliner because, man, they're real expensive. So we're gonna try to clean it up and save that, but still got lots more to do, but we're making some pretty good progress. So we appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you around the next time.